demand a public apology from Mayor Alioto, and we warn him that we will not run away from him or his police force, and that we're not going to be intimidated by these threats. Or Birchers or Minutemen or what they might be, we don't know their affiliations, but they are circulating through the black community, and they're offering money to people to burn down buildings and to create other disturbances in the community. The best conclusion that we can draw from this, because of the way that they've talked, and I myself, I've talked to some of these people because they've approached me with this nonsense. We think that these people might be members of the Republican Party or who have interest in the Republican Party and who are trying to feed this issue of law and order. We have to remember that this is an election year and people are doing things, doing desperate things, trying to make some political hay.
Well, you can tell them from me that that request for an apology is rejected. As you know, as of this morning, if I'm to believe the San Francisco Chronicle, and I do believe it, one of their leaders out of San Francisco State exhorted the students to bring guns on November 6th. Now, this is the kind of wild, extremist talk that does no good for anybody, and particularly the black community. Now, these exhortations are part of the things, part of the reason for the unrest which exists around here. And we're going to fight those black extremists just as hard as we're going to fight the white extremists.
What do you mean?
You can tell them that for me. The very first thing that ought to be done is the police department ought to determine whether or not it can produce tangible evidence that that statement was made on George Murray. Now, it seems to me then the district attorney ought to be asked whether or not there are laws on the books which prohibit people from exhorting other students to bring guns to a school. If there aren't any laws on the books, we ought to put one on right here. And regardless of the Court of Appeals, it ought to be done by San Francisco. Because again, I say, nobody can wait long enough for that state legislature to act on anything.
Mayor Alioto, do you plan to step into the threatened intern strike at San Francisco General?
Well, we're going to try to do something about the threatened strike of anybody in San Francisco. We have tried to use this office, as you know, and it has been used pretty much as a National Labor Relations Mediation Board since the time I have been mayor. Industrial peace is important to us. It's important to our prosperity. It's important to the general climate, and we're going to strive with every power we have in the mayor's office to do something about it.
Alioto announced a new plan for the protection of firemen that came out of yesterday's top-level meetings.
I want those firemen protected. I've also authorized the chief to put certain plastic shields on the open equipment in the fire trucks. I want that done to protect those firemen. We're going to protect those firemen against the kind of stuff that's going on. I repeat again, it seems to me, and I am certain, that we can develop the proper police procedures to take care of snipers who are out in the open or bombers who are out in the open.
We do here and now demand that Mayor Alioto make a public apology to the Black Panther Party for these insinuations because they're false, and he knows that he's making a calculated effort to stigmatize the party because of his plots and his schemes to destroy the leadership of the Black Panther Party and to stamp out the Black Panther Party as a whole.
I am not talking about the entire organization, because like all organizations, there are extreme views, there are extremists in organizations. Insofar as anybody wants to be a black militant, as I've said before, we encourage them to do it, to be militant within the framework of nonviolence. We encourage them to do it. If they want black curriculum, we encourage them in such matters. If they want a certain a certain consultation with respect to schools, we encourage them in those matters. If they want to talk about housing, they want to get into a redevelopment plan or into a plan to cure joblessness. In all of those things, we encourage militancy without violence.